Hello, fellow weirdos. It's Tuesday, and that means it's time for another edition of Weird Bible Stories with Pastor Pam. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, Pastor Pam, why are you filming this in your bathroom? Apart from the good lighting and the great acoustics, there is a reason. So just wait, all will be revealed in time. So Ehud was the judge over Israel, and he was left-handed, which is going to be important in just a couple of minutes. The Israelite people were under the control of King Eglon, and they wanted to be free. So Ehud went to see the king. He was met at the palace gates, as one might imagine, by security. And the security checked him for weapons. However, they only checked the left side of his body, because most people were right-handed. So they assumed that all people were right-handed. So by checking the left side of Ehud's body, they thought that they would have found any weapons that he was carrying, because a right-handed person would keep a weapon on their left hip. So Ehud is given entrance to speak with the king. Now, King Eglon was a very large man. Another fact that will be important later on. Ehud spoke with the king in front of his advisors, but right before he left, he stopped and he said, "King Eglon, I have a very important secret message to give you." So the king dismissed his security and his advisors, and he and Ehud went into the summer room, which is a really fancy term for what back then would have been a really fancy bathroom. It was a room on top of the palace that had walls, but the wind would be able to blow through the room to take any smells away. Once they were alone in the summer room, Ehud drew his sword from the right side of his body because he was left-handed, and he thrusted it forward right into King Eglon, killing the king. Now, I mentioned that King Eglon was a rather large man. The sword penetrated so deeply that it was swallowed up in King Eglon's fat, and Ehud made his escape. Now, the reason that this story is so weird, and the big reason why I'm telling you this story from my bathroom, is that the king's servants realized eventually that he was in the summer room in the bathroom, and they stood outside and they waited for him. Assuming that the king had just had a bad stomach ache or maybe had eaten some bad Taco Bell, they waited and they waited, and they started to get embarrassed because it smelled terrible. When Ehud had stabbed King Eglon, the Bible tells us that the dirt poured out of him. Basically, in today's more medical terms, his bowels expelled themselves. So it smelled like he had some really bad diarrhea. And his servants eventually, really trepidatiously and nervously knocked on the door. "King Eglon, are you all right in there, King? Is your stomach okay?" And they got no answer. And when they finally went in and found him dead, it was far too late. Ehud had already made his escape and was back with the Israelites, who would soon be free. So what's the point of this story other than being a little bit gross? Well, God uses all kinds of people, and God made all of us different for a purpose. So Ehud was left-handed when so many others were, and frankly still are, right-handed. But God was able to use that difference in Ehud to rescue and to save the Israelite people. Thanks be to God. Amen.